nice to meet you. My name's Iku. I am Japanese, but I grew up in the UK, so I kind of feel like I am pretty mixed up as in terms of like where I come from. So when people say, "Hey, where do you come from?" I just say, "Hey, I'm Japanese. But I grew up in the UK because that just makes sense." Yeah. As in terms of what I do, I work at a Japanese company right now, but I don't really work in a group in a team where they use Japanese. The global language that they use is obviously English. So all of my team members, they communicate in English. So, yep, although I'm living in Japan, it's Japanese working in English. Yeah. For hobbies, I do dancing. I've only been doing it for about 5 years, but I started as a beginner. So I would say dance level wise, it is still really beginner. Yep. So that's about it. Yeah. So when you say student, I would say up to 12 years old, I went to a school in England. So I think I would separate that into like two parts. So when I was in England, I would say I was a kid who had a lot of pride, which is kind of weird, but I had a lot of pride. And also I really wanted to be a perfectionist. Yeah. So I don't have those traits right now, but because I had those traits back in England when I came back to Japan. So when I came back to Japan, I went to a Japanese private school, but of course I couldn't speak Japanese that well. So me being a perfectionist and having a lot of pride, I kind of lost that when I came back to Japan because I can't speak Japanese. I don't do that well in the subjects that they teach in the Japanese schools. So with these two combined, I just couldn't keep that perfectionist and the pride that I had. Yeah. So there, I really had to change myself. So I would say the kid who was going to that Japanese school, I would say it's a kid who's trying to figure out what she wants to be and how she wants to present herself in Japan. Again, I'm just separate that from like when I was living in England and when I was living in Japan. So when I was living in England, my dream was actually to be a vet. But okay, that's a kid's dream. You start to realize that, hey, I actually hate seeing blood. I actually don't like seeing people being in pain, etc. So I thought, okay, being a vet is not realistic. So I kind of gave up on that dream. So when I came back to Japan, so then I'm 12 years old. The dream that I had then was to actually be working in an environment where I can just be myself and use English. So I really didn't have a proper concrete dream yet at that time. Yeah. So that's a good question because I think there's so many differences between like England and Japan. I would say the biggest difference would be Japan is so, I don't know, it's like Japan is literally just one culture and you don't have different cultures mixed into one country. It's like we have Japanese, and then if you're not Japanese, you're on the outside. So I feel that is like so different because when I came back to Japan, they did not take me as Japanese because I don't act Japanese, and also at the beginning I could not speak Japanese. So just having those two, they were like, "Nope, you're out. You're not Japanese." So I felt really, I don't know, I felt kind of rejected when I came back to Japan. But when I was back in England, well, although the majority of people is obviously English, but then you're going to have people from different countries because it's so close to Europe. So you're going to have like French people, German people, Spanish people, etc. And also you have a lot of Indian people as well, but that's because of the England colonizing India back in the days. But still, they accepted you for who you are, and they're not going to be saying that, hey, you're from a different culture, so you're going to like just take you as an outsider. They would take you in as well. So that was England. So me being used to this, when I came back to Japan, it was like, what am I doing here? Yeah, so that was the biggest difference that I felt when I just came back. Other differences, I would say like as a kid, I really thought that how they teach stuff at school is very different. Yeah. So this is a conversation that I have a lot with my friends as well. But when you think about education in like England or even America, they actually teach you stuff and then they ask you questions about, okay, so you have this information. Now, what do you think about it? How can you elaborate? Or what are the thoughts that come up to mind the most after you hear this fact? So it's having the student use their brain and come up with ideas on how they want to proceed afterwards. But in Japan, it's different. It's like, okay, when we do the test, you're just going to have to memorize everything, and that's it. So they don't really help the student in like trying to like understand what it means to really think on your own and how do you build on top of the knowledge that you have. Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty interesting difference, but also a difference that I struggled because, not gonna lie, I am not good at memorizing things. Yeah. Okay, so this current job, it's really vanilla, but I found it on LinkedIn. I would say the job itself isn't related to my interest, but the stuff that you come across while you're working, then it does come across my interest. So what that is so the project that I'm in, you have people from different countries in that project. The reason why we have this is because this whole like program that they're going to try to start, they're trying to start that program in different regions. So you have the Europe team, you got a North America team, and of course you got the Asia team. Yep. But so in short, you have lots of people involved in this program. But the country that came up with this idea, it's America. So America will say to all the other regions, hey, we're going to do this. Can you please help us implement this in each region? Yep. But when we're doing that, of course, Japan is very different from America. So that means that when America says, hey, let's do this, it might not be the best to like do it exactly the same way how they did it in the US, because Japanese people might be like, hey, no, that's not going to work. We have to do these processes before we actually implement this stuff. So although we've been trying to communicate to the US team that some things are not going to work in Japan, it's been quite a bit of a struggle trying to like explain and have them understand why you can't do this in Japan. So long story short, what is interesting is you get to see the differences between different countries, and you get to practice how do you communicate about these cultural differences. Yeah, so that is my interest, and although it's not directly related to my job, I am coming across this quite a lot right now. The reason why I started dancing is, being very honest, I was not doing any kind of sports when I just started working. And then after 2 years, I thought, really, I should really move my body. Otherwise, I'm going to be like a cripple, like when I get older. Yeah. So I thought, okay, let's just start something. And that something was dancing. Dancing has impacted a lot on how I behave, I would say. Because when you think about dancing, of course, it's like showing yourself off. So when you show yourself off, of course, you're going to be worried about your posture, how do you, like, your expressions, everything. So I would say, if you want to be careful about that when you're dancing, you got to be careful from your like daily lives and everything. So I would say, because of dancing, it has me become more aware of my posture. Am I in a nice, like, is my like back straight and stuff? Yeah, so that has been the biggest impact. 5-10 years, that was also a tough question to think about, because I was thinking, okay, 5 years, vaguely I'm thinking hopefully I am with somebody, and also 2, maybe have started a family. So that's like 5 years. But again, seeing how things have changed so much in my life, even looking at like the past 5 years, I definitely am in a different place than what I had imagined. So I can say that I hope I can be like with somebody and also start a family in the next 5 years. I feel like it's a hopefully I can be there, but I'm not like confident that I can be there, because although I'm happy right now, I would say where I am right now is definitely not what I had imagined. Mm-hmm. So that'd be 5 years. And then 10 years. So I really have no idea what I would be doing at that time. I might not be in Japan. I might be in another country, which is possible. And also another thing is, I'm more worried about like where I am in my career. Am I still working in the same kind of industry, or have I just changed completely? Yeah. So I would say I can imagine up to 5 years, but 10 years, I really can't imagine even where I would be. Yeah. Do I think I'm still an outsider? I would say it depends on the people that I'm with. So now I'm realizing that there's like people who accept you for who you are, and I would say the tendency is people who are younger tend to have this mindset, but also people who are a bit older. If they have met people from different countries, they have started to like grow that kind of mindset. So I would say, depending on the people, then I sometimes don't feel like an outsider. But then still, of course, there's a lot of people who are very, very like not flexible yet. So when I'm with those kind of people, then I still feel like an outsider.
Thank you for today's interview.
Thank you.